Hey guys, it's Joe B. It's Sunday, it's hot, and I'm here with the Mach 1. This is for the fender and headlight removal. This is mainly because it's time for me to take off the passenger side fender in order that I can remove the end cap and start to line up this line. I gotta start banging on this panel and making it sure that these are lined up correctly. So I'm going to try and document every bolt and nut that has to do with this so that when I put it back together I can get it right. To do this, the tools that I've set aside so far, I've got a Phillips, got my ratchet with I think it's a 7/16. This is a 13, but it should be right about the same as a 7/16, and a little extension bar, and I'll show you why about that one in a little while. The first thing I'm going to do though is I'll start by removing this headlight bucket. We've got 2 Phillips screws in the front. So make sure to notate that. These little bucket closures here are plastic. I don't know if they were metal at one point, but they look, quote, new in that these replacements are plastic. So I'm going to pull these 2 off. And here we go. These look like some nice aftermarket stainless steel Phillips. They look like about 1.5 inches, maybe 8s. 8 or 10. They're 8 or 10, I'd say. Probably closer to 10. Okay, now once I've got that off, I've got the adjustments for the headlight. I've got 1 and 2. It looks like I've got a total of 5 screws here, so I'm just going to start working on them. I'll do the 3 obvious ones first that hold the headlight in place. This one had a really fun washer and little baby Phillips screw Mickey Mouse business. So we'll have to make sure that's set up correctly when it goes back. This is what you have to remove if you're going to replace the headlight, so it's not going to be rocket science. In fact, taking apart anything on this car isn't really rocket science. But the problem is that we take it apart and then we work on it or set it aside for weeks, months, sometimes even years. And after that amount of time, you forget where all these little screws go. So you need to bust out the body panel manual or try and figure out what the heck you were working on or where it goes. This one's giving me a little bit of difficulty because the bumper itself is in the way. But I'm in there. So there were 3 of those. As you can see with this headlight, literally the headlight bracket that holds it on, 1, 2, 3, and you can loosen them and twist it in order to remove the bracket, but since I'm taking it apart, I took them all off. Unplug the headlight itself, of course. You know, it'd be nice if somebody created some aftermarket headlights. Let me know if you guys see some of these, but some aftermarket headlights where it's just the bucket and it's empty in here, and there's like a hole drilled where you can just put like a regular a new like xenon bulb in there. That would be sweet. I wonder if you could bang the glass off of one of these and just kind of fabricate that. That might be possible. Anyway, now that that's out, it looks like we have the actual bucket itself in really good shape. You know, let's get the camera and take a close up here. I'm going to be removing this one, 1, 2, and this one down here. I'm going to finish that, pull those out. Just wanted to give a close up of that. Fast forward to whatever part you guys need to fast forward to in order to get to the piece that you're working on or removing. I just wanted to document the whole thing here. Afterward, I'm going to put all these little screws into a plastic bag and just put, you know, passenger fender on it and a Sharpie. It's giving a little bit away. There's a spring in here. See this spring right here? Just got to remember to put that spring back on. That helps to keep the headlight taut. some really weird screws. To be perfectly honest, I already took apart the driver's fender and end cap and took all the pieces apart and reconditioned them, and then I couldn't really remember how to put them back together. I was missing some screws in the first place, so it was annoying. Alright, it looks like that stress point that the string is providing is keeping this piece from coming toward me. Come on. Alright. Got that. And there we go. Just pull that right out. So then we have these oddly shaped screws. Look like they're from IKEA. Got two of these holding the headlight bucket in place. I don't recall having these on the other side. They have to be removed for the stripping, priming, and reconditioning of this end cap. So I'm just going to pull them off. See how far this rabbit hole goes. And these go here, 1, 2. So on the other side it would be 1, 2. But the passenger, it's on the outer and the upper, not the lower and the inner. These look thicker. These could be like 12s or 14, and they're definitely at least 2 inches long. It's like a specialty bolt. And it doesn't feel like aluminum, but it looks like it. So I don't know if it's got some kind of a coating or something. I'm going to leave the spring on for now. And while I'm here, I'm going to pull one of the bolts for the fender. Looks like there are two up here in the front. One is on the top and one is on the bottom. And this is what I'm going to use my extension bar for. And then it's a little difficult to reach these two, but they are right here. One, and the other one's down here. Probably gonna have to go in it from the underside to get that one. But let's loosen it up first and see where we're at. Now I had priced out these bolts. You can get a kit online. They're about $1 a piece. Yeah, $1 for a bolt, right? So then I went to my local hardware store. I checked at both Osh and Lowe's, and a bolt like this will still run you about 99 cents in person at the hardware store. So I went ahead and bought the kit online, and I did the driver's fender with the new ones. Now it's not the bolt that's the biggest part. Let's pause here. We've got, you're gonna have to see this. I mean, you can see this every time you open your hood, but I'm gonna count it off anyway. On the top, we've got 1, 2, 3, that one's missing, 4, 5, and 6. This one, the 6th one, you have to lift your hood up and finagle a little bit. The main reason why I'm using the extension bar today is so that I can go ahead and do these and undo it without my ratchet rubbing up against the fender right here. That would cause a little bit of a dent, and I just don't want to deal with more filler and repair than I already have to. Hey guys, it's Joe B with a follow-up on the video where I'm removing the fender and the end cap. The battery died, so I'm continuing on, and I had removed the fender at the 6 bolt points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the one that's closest to where the hood meets the cowl vent. And then we also had the 2 here. 1, this one actually wasn't screwed in on my car. And 2 right here, this guy. These bolts that were holding it in, I also need to make a correction. I was using a size 13 metric, which fit because the size 13 metric is approximately equivalent, probably within a millimeter, to the 1/2 inch, which is what these bolts are. These are 1/2 inch that are holding on the fender. So you see I've got my long 1/2 inch power drive, which you will need one of these if you're going to remove the seats, by the way. If you're going to take your seat out, you're going to need this. And it fits the 1/2 inch perfectly. So I was using a 13 metric, but half inch is what they used back in 1970. So that's a little update there. And then to continue on with what we're working on here, to finish removing the end cap from the fender itself, I've got these are 7/16. This is a 7/16. This one in here is a 7/16. And then this one hiding in this little hole right here is a 7/16. So I'm going to remove those three, and then I'll be right back with you in a second as soon as I get those removed. We will literally remove the end cap itself as soon as I get these bolts undone. But as you can see, they are very difficult. Unless you have a long drive 7/16, it's going to be tough to get some of these depending on what the clearance is going to be. So I will have to work on those with just a hand crescent wrench 7/16. I'm going to use the side that completely encircles it here to get these off, and then I will fast forward it for you so that we don't waste too much time. Okay, so I pulled it away. That bolt has also come out too. These are all seized shut, but I've got new hardware for those. That's not going to be an issue there. So here's what happened. We undid this bolt here, this bolt here, and that bolt up there. Here's another thing to remember. These end caps are aluminum, at least mine are, probably for weight reduction. So if you decide to do any repairs on these, make sure you do it with aluminum welding or with Alumorods. I did do a video on that, but double check. Do not try to weld these with a MIG because you'll burn right through it. Lastly, in order to restore them, you'll have to remove this Phillips here, just take this plastic piece out, clean it up, sand it, paint it. That should be black. Or actually, argent, dark argent is probably the correct color for that. And then I'm going to remove this, which is the piece that holds in the headlight screw, and I'll remove this one. 1, 2, 3, 4 Phillips screws. And then here is the spring that keeps the headlight itself tense. And that is it. It's the fender with the end cap taken off. This is Joe B with the Mach 1. We'll see you again real soon.